European War 7, Medieval 35,000 registration. Introduction of the Conquest scenario. The Conquest mode in European War 7, Medieval will open up gradually. The background story and the countries involved are different for each Conquest scenario. This time we adjust the playtime of the Conquest mode. Designed with multiple victory objectives, each country will have its own victory conditions to achieve the goal to end the conquest and get rewards. Players who are interested in achieving regional unification can also continue their conquest after reaching the goal and can receive additional rewards. Barbarian invasion. Shortly after the division of the Roman Empire into the Eastern and Western Roman Empires, Valentinian III was supported by the Eastern Roman powers to become the new emperor of the Western Roman Empire. In 435 AD, the Western Roman Empire had not only not recovered from the previous turbulent domestic situation, but also had to guard against the surrounding barbarians who were watching over it. Germanic peoples such as the Goths, Franks, and Anglo-Saxons had established states around the empire, and while defending their lands, they were thinking about whether to attack the Western Roman Empire. And the Britons, who had lost the shelter of the Western Roman Empire, had to take up arms and face the invaders alone. All of them had to face a common foreign enemy, the Hun Empire. The rise of the Byzantine Empire. The boundaries of the Byzantine Empire were in a constant state of change throughout the years. In the early days, the territory of the Byzantine Empire was basically the same as the territory of the former Roman Empire. After Justinian I ascended to the throne and became the emperor, he organized and arranged for the reorganization of the laws and the writing of the Code of Laws, eager to restore the majesty of Roman law, and devoted himself to the restoration of the former glory of the Roman Empire. In 530 AD, since the Samaritan revolt was suppressed, Justinian I began planning an expedition against the Vandal kingdoms of Africa. However, in 532 AD, the Nicene revolt broke out in Constantinople, and armed conflict broke out between the rebels and the government. The situation was so serious that Justinian I wanted to abandon the city and flee, but he was persuaded by Empress Theodora to stay and suppress the uprising again through political and military means. In August 533, Justinian I sent Belisarius at the head of his army to attack the kingdom of Vandal because his ally Hildas had been deposed. Viking legend and Britain Islands, the kingdoms of Wessex, Mercia, and Northumbria all wanted to unite England, while the kingdom of Alba and the other 7 Anglo-Saxon states in the north want to own the British region hungrily. While the powers of Britain fought for the unification of England, the Vikings invaded the British Isles, destroying the coastal areas like locusts. The only way to confront the Vikings on their island, the Kingdom of Gael, was for the generals to unite against the rising Vikings. On the opposite continent, after the Frankish kingdom was divided into 3 by the Treaty of Verdun, the West Frankish kingdom, the Middle Frankish kingdom, and the East Frankish kingdom were formed. In 850 AD, while the East and West Frankish kingdoms are wary of their neighbors, the Kingdom of Brittany and the Yugoslavs respectively, did not forget their plans to make the Middle Frankish kingdom their own. The Middle Frankish kingdom was also planning to incorporate the East and West Frankish kingdoms into its territory, and all 3 kingdoms wanted to unify the Frankish kingdom with their name. The Vikings, just like a nightmare that suddenly descended from Europeans, opened the era of legends that only belonged to them. Crusader states. After the Crusades, 4 Crusader states were established: the County of Edessa, the Principality of Antioch, the Kingdom of Jerusalem, and the County of Tripoli in Palestine, and the Armenian Kingdom of Cilicia, which, composed of Armenian refugees, became the allies of the Crusaders. The Crusades saved the Byzantine Empire from the brink of extinction. The establishment of the Crusader state greatly relieved the pressure placed on the Byzantine Empire by the Seljuks, and Byzantium recovered some of its Anatolian lands with the help of the Crusaders. But the Byzantine Empire's betrayal of the Crusaders at the Battle of Antioch, the collaboration of the Anatolian Greek nobility, and the misdeeds of the Cypriot rulers intensified the conflict between the Crusaders and the Byzantine Empire. On September 24, 1180 AD, Manuli died, and with his death, the glory of the Comnenus dynasty came to the end. The game is currently in the development process, and some of the nouns and screenshots mentioned in this article may eventually change accordingly.